So, hello everyone, and welcome back to Factorio. So let's click resume and go back to Novice where we were working. So we are trying to make wires do their thing. And let's see here. These guys are all output full. But these guys are waiting for more items. Okay, wait. Is this because some of these are uncommon and some of them aren't? This is weird. So, right. So you have uncommon in there and common in there. So these outputs can't be stack inserters, I guess? Is that... Did I have that differently up here? Yes, the outputs up here were bulk inserters. Alright. So we need to make those changes. And then we might need, like, additional in order to keep up. I don't know how many bulk inserters... I don't know how many items a bulk inserter can handle. But 2 should definitely be enough. Even if 1 wasn't. Alright, so this is now outputting all of this junk. And now the rest of them are going. And now we're basically... Now we seem to be somewhat working. At least for now. It might well get stuck again. And yes, it does seem to have gotten stuck again. So what exactly is the problem? I think the problem is that... Do we need like an extra buffer space in here? We don't have anything like that over here, right? Yeah, over here there's not, but it could be different because the output of these machines is wires, which is more spacious. It takes up more space for wires than plates do. So let's try... We just take some of that out and get this in. That should hopefully provide some buffer space so that our wire supply can just go into that. But I feel like this will probably just fill up eventually anyways. So I don't know what to do about that. Aside from just have... Maybe if we just have more recyclers in, then it'll work. We're also still short speed modules, which is a bit concerning. Alright, so this is doing its thing. And this is now filling up with wire. And keeping all of these guys moving. And then I guess we should also have it bypass that out to like there maybe, so that we can use the full speed of the belt when we aren't using this to keep things going. I feel like this just isn't working though. And I feel like these do need to be... Oh wait, I think I figured it out actually. If these are like 3 stack inserters each, then that should handle all of the different... All the different rarities should get handled by that, and then it should be fine. And then we probably don't actually want that buffer thing going. So, will this system work? I sure hope so. And most of these guys aren't working either. because they have the same sorts of problems where these guys have like one thing on them, but they need more variety. Alright, so let's also fill these guys up with just bulk inserters. So hopefully that works, and then we might also just need to add more recyclers in. So this whole thing is still staying jammed like this. Now if I just add on another couple like that, maybe that'll do the trick. So now that we have these, we are getting these to run better. So that is working. And these guys are output full because they have those. So we just need two of... No. Now these are output full again. So we have uncommons, commons. Okay, do I need to like explicitly set rarities for all of these? So you could be those. You can handle those. And you can handle those, maybe. Okay, but I actually don't know if that will work. It might. Alright, let's get all of these settings pasted in. But there is technically a small chance of ultras coming out of this and breaking everything again, which would be a bit awkward. So what I think we need is so I think we need to take these ones out and have them be just regular old bulk inserters, which theoretically should be like lowest priority. I don't know why. I still don't understand how it is that this system just works perfectly fine and this system is having every single problem imaginable. Alright, so let's take that box thing out. Turns out not to be necessary. And then we move the power grid over to there so that these machines can run and make their plates. Alright, so now this is going. Now this is going, and we are seeing some final outputs. However, I think... Actually, no. It looks like it's going fine as far as the wire outputs are concerned. Yeah, I mean, this is fine. There's not significant backlog at this point. So now we're down to 11 copper plates. And what's going on up here? So we're not seeming to be getting a full supply in. So this side up here isn't running as fast. So we need to input more stuff onto that side, right? Wait, this is the outside, so yeah, so we need just anything to go on this. Yeah, okay, so this should still ultimately work. So we can put there, and a beacon in the middle. Oh, we're missing speed modules for this entire setup. That's why it's going so. And then stack inserter down to here. And they need productivity modules so that they're not inefficient. And we get a power pole. And I think we need another power pole there to get that inserter. Alright, so what was going on with our speed modules? We have a stack of 40 incoming. Volcanist support 3 is paused at novice. Oh, right, this is Volcanist support 3 is the one which is still under construction. But it looks like it's pretty close. So that's cool. We're just missing a whole bunch of crushers and productivity modules. Productivity module supply isn't going great, though. Okay, so this is still working, and we're up to 30. Up to 30 ultra copper plates. And so this whole thing is now outputting. And we have all the copper wire that we need going into here. Alright, so that is that. And we need more. We need that guy to have modules since he's apparently running. And these guys could also use some rare modules as well. Let's get those in. And this is technically working, but it's going quite slowly, probably largely because of the lack of copper input. Which... Okay, so now the molten copper is low. Which, again, we just need our speed modules to show up. And once these get here, Volcanist Support 2 is on its way. It's almost at the halfway mark, at which point it accelerates a lot. So that's going just fine. This has at least some quality modules, so there's at least a chance of getting the upgrade. It needs more, but it'll get there eventually. We really need all these speed modules to kick in so that we can have our copper output going at a reasonable rate. Speaking of not going at a reasonable rate, has the entire traffic train system jammed? So you are stuck waiting here. You can't go down this way. Oh, is this guy in here considered to be on this section? Yes, he is. That's the problem. So we need just something there. Should do the trick. And it looks like they did eventually figure out how to move along. But we should make sure that there are no other problems like that. So you are this purple section, which is a whole separate thing. Yeah, so that all looks fine to me. And you are still doing your thing. Where are the crusher production? Is something gone wrong with them? It's somewhere up in this region. Yeah, here it is. So we don't have any low density structures. So where is our low density structure production? We had this guy down here, who isn't getting any molten copper, because we don't have any here. Alright, so this is going. So low density structure production should be back up and running now. So that should be fine, in theory. How much is this? I mean, it's basically emptied out the train already. And there's hardly any storage in these crates. So yeah, that might be the issue, basically. Like, the copper just runs through so fast. And it all gets smelted up this way. Where it should, theoretically... Yeah, so I think we just need to, like, replace a lot of these guys with foundries to make the copper more efficiently. That might be what we need to do. Although, we did seem to get the crushers out, so maybe it's not a big deal. So there's 10 crushers on the way. And we're getting low density structures delivered to here. So now you have electric engine unit shortages, which is an entirely different problem, but hopefully not a big one. Okay, so now we check back over here, and this has gotten jammed again because of these guys. So you need to have bulk inserters in all of those locations so that you can get your output through. And you know what? We should just output filter left, quality epic, and just rather than recycling quality wires, we should just gather them up and, I don't know, bring them over to here, where I kind of wanted them to just be directly next to this box, but I guess having a gap in between will be fine. Alright, so that should sort the epic quality cables out, and then the rest of this should be going, and we need to get all of these power lines in. Apparently this whole area is kind of far, so let's get a drone port down. And there we go. Nice. That's actually a lot of quality wires. All right there. I guess it was a big build-up over a while. Alright, and now the amount of fresh copper cables going in is maxed out, which means we need to upgrade that belt to even faster so that we can use all of this. And so right now we have this set to priority right, which seems like that's probably wrong. What happens if we just have you be priority center? So that we can get all of these rare wires through. So we're already up to 86 wires, 53 plates, which is pretty cool. And yeah, that hasn't broken anything dramatically. Doesn't look like, at least. And these belts are now faster, which should be quite handy. Our copper production is completely passable now. Point where we might be able to just expand this out. We're still not making that much progress in upgrading all of these with rares, although it is still cycling. This is so many rare modules just to get all of this in. We're still 17 short. And how many... or those are epics. How many rares do we have? We have 0 spares of those. Okay, good to know. All of this stuff is getting used pretty much thoroughly. So back over here, we've still got this whole loop going. And so that is making copper plates and copper cables. There we go, we get that last one in. And the stack inserters on the inputs are kind of weird, but I don't think it should make much of a difference. Alright, so this whole thing seems to have gotten locked up again. And probably because we need even more of these. Alright, so let's copy paste this, flip you vertically, and get just like an entire second set of these guys in. Obviously we're gonna have to work around those, but if we get you in like that, and then bring you down to here. Okay, so we are going to need to actually connect this across. Okay, better idea. We're going to have these face the other way. So these are going to go down there and loop around into that. And hopefully that will do something. Once all these stuff are built in. And they're going to need their quality modules as well. Which, okay, if we can actually just like disconnect those until the quality modules show up so that we're not just wasting our time with this. So we are getting a couple... I'm pretty sure I saw a couple quality modules randomly show up in here. Like this one has one. And that's about it. Alright, so we can just leave this as is for now until those quality modules show up. Which requires this whole thing over here to be running at full speed, which... it does seem to be mostly working well. So those are waiting on module 2s, those are waiting on module 1s, these are waiting on red circuits, because of course they are. And the red circuits still aren't completely output limited, right? So if we just check these guys are all working as fast as they can, with no major problems. So if we want more red circuits, there's kind of just not much that we can do. I guess we can maybe... we can squeeze more speed beacons in, because these are not limited by any of their inputs, I don't think. So, if we do something like that, then... okay, this actually needs to be one further down, which I think will still work. We can get a speed beacon in here and fill it up. And this is going to shut down the red circuit production in the short term, but hopefully that'll be worth it once all this stuff gets built in. I guess technically we could wrap this around one more time. That's also something that we can do. Alright. Why are you like that? You need to be connected that way so that you function properly. Alright. The good news is that the plastic supplies on this belt are apparently big enough to last for quite a while, so we didn't actually do that much to slow things down. Alright, so that speed module is in. And the plastic now can go across again, so this is 1.89, this one over here is 1.57. Which is better a bit. But I feel like just having this wrap around one more time is actually just the only feasible thing. So we need you to be there, and then we get our beacons in as well. And we get the modules set. And this is probably going to run out of speed modules. But we have that. And you take from there and from there probably 3 times. Because if you need a lot of wires. Then we have our green circuits wrap around this way and go up to there. Then our red circuit output wraps around that way and goes up to there. Okay, now we get power poles in there and there, let's say. So then this outputs to the red circuits over there. Inputs from the green circuits there. And then we just sort of copy-paste you a couple of times, overwriting some various trees. And there we go. So that should all go in and provide more red circuits for our infinite amount of red circuits that we need for this. And then the belts go through. And alright, why are you, so now you're going. So that is functional. We still apparently have the speed modules for this so far. Whether we'll have the speed modules for all of those is unknown. Okay, speaking of speed modules, Vulcanist Support 3. You have everything you need except for productivity modules and a couple more minutes to just let the ammunition trickle through. We don't want you to launch before you have enough ammo, but that should be just a few minutes away at this point. So now this whole thing is set up, and they're all going, they don't all have their speed modules, so some of them are very, very slow. But those should be on the way. And hopefully that'll be enough red circuits. Which, okay, I think we need to stack inserter the red circuits because they're going on to this. Like someone in here is definitely going to be output full, yes. So what we need to do is just get... Alright, so we need you to go across to here like that, and then a row of stack inserters. So this should do the trick, hopefully. We are going to entirely fill up our belts before all that gets built. Alright, so the belts show up, and then the stack inserters should show up a little bit later. Alright, stack inserters, where are you? Any second now. There they are. Oh, rats. I forgot about power. So that gets connected up. And we'll have to wait a little bit longer for that. But then we should have much more space-efficient red circuit storage. And I don't think we'll have to do this earlier than that. I think it was fine when this was on both sides of the belt, and it's just a problem when it was on only one side of the belt. Although I guess what we can do is we can just like... We can just like upgrade this so that belt is just going to be super fast. Alright, so now that is in. It got powered up, and there we go. I don't know if these are able to keep up. It looks like they mostly are. This last one is waiting for items most of the time. Let's add a couple extra in just to be sure. Alright, so now the red circuits are going. And these ones are still output full, but hopefully that will stop being the case soon. Once all this stuff gets in. Our supply of quality modules is slowly increasing, which is always good. And, right, the upgraded belts are starting to trickle in. Which should help as well. Although, again, not entirely sure that it's necessary. It certainly will not hurt matters. And we just kind of have to wait for it to all get in. Oh, and we need to also upgrade you. And then down to there. So we need all of those. And then this is stack inserted, so it should have like infinite capacity. Alright, so that is that. And it seems like it's doing fine. Although that might just be because the belts... We might need the belts to get full speed before we know for sure. Alright, so that is all in, and the belts should be going at maximum rate. So now if we go back up to here, this one, which is the one which is most stressed in terms of its capacity, is working around the clock. Or at least most of the time. Yeah, it just got emptied there. So that does look quite good. And then the red circuits come over this way, all the way over here, and then up into these machines, where, there we go. Oh, hey, look, our agricultural science bothered to show up for once. Oh, I see what's happened. So all of these guys have spoilage in them, which we just need to remove. So let's see, how do we get rid of spoilage conveniently? If we have you two pointed into that, and then get those settings pasted across, that should deal with the problem. And then can I just copy paste this all the way across and into all of these guys. So this just goes through and gets all the spoilage out of our system so that we can do plastic bar productivity. Okay, then we just need to get a drone port in close enough that these ones can actually export their stuff. Alright, so that is all in. And now we have science running again. Thank goodness. Alright, so science is now going. Finally. It's been way too long for me to notice that problem. But now we're going strong. We're making more of these than ever, although not by a huge amount. We're pretty close to capped out at those anyways. And now over here, these ones are almost filled with Ultra modules. This one up here doesn't actually technically need any modules. So then we just come back down here. And these ones are also almost there. We need 8 more rare modules. A number which is theoretically decreasing. But it looks like this whole thing has gotten jammed again. Because of course it has. So what we need is... we need some way of just... let's see. Actually, I think I know what to do. If we have you like that... wait, what did I just do? So we have you in. You're going to filter out normal quality outputs, because we have plenty of normal quality inputs, right? So these are just going to go, and they are going to get added in. They're going to get added back into here via a stack inserter or two. So they won't mess with belt capacity that way, in theory. So that should be helpful somewhat. Although, in order to actually get this going again, we're going to need to activate this row, which we should be able to do safely. So let's just put that belt in and see what happens. That should get all of these top ones running, which should get the belt of wires moving. Okay, we might need to like loop this. I still don't understand how it is that the iron plates are just doing perfectly fine and the copper wire / copper plates are having all these insane problems. But if we just do that, then is that going to have anything happen? It looks... I mean, these are running somewhat. These guys are still all target full. But at least all this is happening. It's unclear how much this is going to be doing. We might need to expand this out to get through more of these. Although they're just going to instantly get stuck again. Yeah, we are not doing great over here. So we've got all this wire. Okay, what if we loop the wire? No, because the problem is we have too much output, right? So all these guys are target full. So we aren't dealing with this enough. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, ultimately, having all this be expanded out dramatically can only help, right? I mean, so we just do that. And that's probably broken the power grid in some important way. Probably disconnected, like, all of this somehow. Yep. We sure have. Someone get that power line back in, because it is important, apparently. So right when we were finally almost done with our modules. Although now we are almost done with the Ultra modules, actually, so that's exciting. Okay, all the drones almost made it, and then immediately got distracted recharging. And then they come back here and plug all that stuff in. Science production is going well at the moment. Did I just forget to pop this in? Yeah, I did. Alright, so then you also apparently need some coverage. Alright, so that should hopefully get all of these guys running, and then we should be good to go. So this cycling here is helping a bit. All these guys are going right now. The whole thing is up and running. And we have a whole bunch of these guys going out. So now this is all powered, which means we should be even quicker at making our copper wire. Alright, so that is that. I don't know why all this copper wire isn't being stacked. Like, a tiny amount of it is, but the vast majority isn't. Or the copper plates here. So I don't know why that's happening exactly. So this is the Epic Cables producers waiting for the ability to output their stuff. Now all of these guys are still output full. So we still haven't managed to get that going, although it looks like they do run occasionally when they feel like it. And I do see some ultra plates going out. So that's cool. And we got our stack of ultra wire from there. Alright, at some point this has to work, right? Like... So now all of these guys are output full, and most of these guys are target full. So, why is that happening? We just have too much of everything in the system. So I don't know, maybe we need to We need to keep this more under control somehow. And I think this is helping to some extent. But I don't know if it's doing a complete job. Maybe we do need to... So if we loop this back around and in to somewhere else, then what happens? Also, if we set this to output priority right, then what happens there? So if that's set to output priority right, these should... No, wait, no. Input priority right. Output priority is middle, obviously. So this should theoretically just be doing its output at its normal rate, no matter what. And how do we control this? So there's too much copper plate 1s on this belt, and simultaneously too many copper wires on this belt. So like if we increase either of them, it's just going to create the problem in the other one. So what's happening over here that causes it to work? It's that the input is limited by iron plates, which is larger than the output here. Maybe? Yeah, no, I don't fully understand this, but we do have this here, so the tier 1 iron plates go back into here and get priority. Yeah, I don't understand what the difference is. I do not fully comprehend the difference. So now we have this whole giant row of rares. Is it just like a belt speed problem? If we just make this whole thing faster belts. So if we just blindly do that. We don't have enough express belts for all that. Okay. That's fine. Vulcanist Support 3 should be good to go. It doesn't have all the productivity modules, but that should be optional. How much coal does it have? It's already got a couple. So Vulcanist Support 2 apparently just missed its window on both of these to deliver the higher tier belts. Should be fine still. Shouldn't need too many of these anyways. And I don't know if that's actually going to solve anything meaningfully. Alright, it does look like that giant backlog here is eventually running low. So I don't know what all that is about. Are we using both sides of all of our belts? No, we can do better in that way. So if we have you go around like that, then we have more belt capacity on here because we're using both sides. And I don't think we were relying on only using one side anywhere, so it should be fine. We are up to several hundred copper cables and plates, and you can get more if this backlog ever winds up doing its thing. Alright, so those belts get placed in, and now this uses the other half of the belt, and we're all good. So that is looking better. And this, we have these ones are using this side of the belt, and these ones are using the other side of the belt. Alright, we might fix that too. So if this, just take some of that out and bring you up to there so that you only use this side of the belt. And this row uses that side of the belt. Maybe that'll be more efficient and not getting in our own way here. So this, I wonder if we need to just like logic system how much wire should be fresh input based on like how much copper plates there are here. Alright, so if we hook you up to that, and you are going to read belt contents for this whole thing, then... Okay, wait. If you are like that, then you are going to be set to enable disable if copper plates... No, wait, no, copper wire, obviously. No, wait, yes, copper plates are less than... Sorry about that. 100? Maybe? I mean, it could be weird because of like all the different qualities which could be in here. But I'm sure it'll work out. So that is going and currently disabled, preventing fresh iron plates from going in. Then this whole setup here, what are you doing? Oh, I see. Okay. So you are sending all of the fresh stuff filtered back that way. So all this stuff gets filtered back. Okay. I think what we actually need to do is have that set, this not set, and then have this. Instead of doing that, we need you to come along to there. And this is a little bit scuffed. Also, there's like one slow belt in that whole thing. So then you insert across like that. And once that all gets placed, that should just help us drain out. So we just need that stack inserter to go in. So now this whole thing gets moving. And then the number of plates in here is down. Okay, there really needs to be... Oh wait, maybe I can... Maybe I just need to do more logic. So arithmetic combinator in here. And this whole thing needs to not be connected up. You need to be connected up to that. And then that connection can be cut. So then you read from here, hold all belts. So you are getting input signals. Why are you not showing any inputs? Oh, because you haven't been built yet. So can we just go like... I wish there was a way of just like adding up all of these together. So there's each. Yeah, so that's not what we need. Wait, maybe if we do like each plus each, does that work? And then output to just that? Not times each, plus each. So this is showing 576 when it definitely shouldn't be. All right, let's just do... Let's see here. How do we like add up a total list of things? I don't know how to do that. There's got to be a more convenient way. Maybe selectors. Maybe it just requires a couple of arithmetic combinators. All right, so we need to add all these things up. And you need to be disabled by control behavior. And we need this to just read this segment. And if it's entirely full, which it currently is, then we need it to stop. So we need to do just... I guess we just have to count them all up individually. Copper plates plus uncommon copper plates. And then we have this one, which is going to be rare copper plates plus epic copper plates. That's plus. And so then those two then output to another one, which is going to be just... Wait, actually, yeah. So that should just be fine as is, right? Because these two are both going to be outputting copper plates equal to their final output signal. So that's outputting 259. Then this one is also going to be outputting into copper plates another 29. So then this should be receiving 288. So this belt entirely capped out is like 280 some. So we need to have you be less than or equal to like 200. Okay, now we need to figure out what went wrong with this and why it isn't restarting. So the problem is that we're just all saturated. So if we just like nudge this a little bit forwards so that we have a little bit of space, then it should be fine. We get plastic bar productivity. That's cool. Let's just do another one of those. I do like having lots of plastic bars. We're going to need to set them up to do recycling at some point in the very near future. Alright, so why did moving all that stuff forward not help any? I don't know. So let's just take that out then and rethink this. If this is just a box, then maybe that will work. up here on the iron plates, we have plenty of stuff going. We're up to almost 3,000 of them. Alright, so this is going in. And, okay, it was within range of that. So now this is emptied, and we have space in here. So that is going. And then the amount of iron plates in this section is decreasing. And then we add more of these guys in. And then we stop adding them in. Okay, let's have you turned off for now. And is this working? It doesn't look great. I mean, this is still very much limited. Okay, so I think having this filter on was just a mistake. So if we just turn that filter off entirely, and this just isn't a thing anymore, then what happens? We have massive clouds of drones coming along to pick up all those wires and bring them somewhere. So this just simply throws everything out into here. And so these are all running a bit better now. And this... Okay. I feel like there's got to be some obvious trick that I'm missing here to make this work. But I can't quite figure out what it is. I mean, it seems to be functioning now. At least at this exact moment. Everything is going well. We've got a solid amount of wire output, and this whole loop back thing, there's not that many copper plates in here. Alright, so Vulcanist support 3. You are presumably... Oh, right, we need to actually assign that group to you so that you can run as well. Okay, so now this all seems to be working better. And that's good, obviously. But I'm not sure whether it's fully working or not. So at this point, we seem to have enough of these recyclers to manage the full supply of wires that are going through. And simultaneously, these machines are doing enough to deal with all the wires that get to them. Alright, I feel like this might have just magically fixed itself. I'm not sure what I did, but I must have done something, because it's working now. So that's cool. Alright, so there we go. Yeah, I think this probably just works now. So we're just going to leave you at that, I guess. We've got our storage containers. They're filling up. So now let's head over to these. How's this going? We have 4 spares of the ultras. Just a couple spare rares, 20 of those, 20 uncommons. this is going. This whole system is going as well. So yeah, I guess that's that. So, next step, the next thing that we need to make rare versions of is plastic. And plastic is going to be harder because we aren't doing super great on crude oil. Like, it's very much a sort of borderline situation. Also, how's power going? Power is totally fine. Technically use the accumulators very, very briefly. But nothing notable. So, for our plastic production, do we just like... I mean, Fulgora has infinite heavy oil, right? And it's also got recyclers native to here. So, what if we just like... What if we just get a giant plastic production setup? Wait, no, we need coal, right? Do you need coal for plastic? Yes. We need coal and petroleum gas. So here on Fulgora we get our plastic by doing that. There's not going to be easy access to coal here, actually. So Fulgora isn't a good place for plastic. What about Gleba? Does Gleba have? I'm pretty sure we have just like bioplastic. Yeah, we've just got you to make plastic from bioflux and Yumiko mash. This might genuinely be a use case for Gleba, aside from like the mandatory Gleba science stuff. So if we just take bioflux and Yumiko mash, which it looks like we have good numbers of both, and just make like a bunch of plastic, that would be a sustainable thing to do. Although this whole place is kind of a giant headache. So the bioflux supply is good. The Yumiko mash supply seems to be good, but we also aren't currently producing any. So here comes some fresh Yumiko, so that's good. Alright, so we need to just get this set up. So we have these guys up here to make extras. And they then just output into there. So that... we should just be able to expand this out as much as we need to, and to have it be okay. So, how is this going to work? Actually, how much does plastic stack? Rocket capacity of 2,000, which is 20 stacks per rocket. That's like decent, but weirdly, for recycling, we're going to need better than that. I guess we could recycle it on Gleba. That's technically an option. Yeah, I guess there's no reason why not, right? So, let's see if I can remember how this stuff works. So we need to find a branch off of the bioflux. This is pretty efficient, right? 1 bioflux and 4 Yumiko mash to 6 plastic. Could be a lot worse, especially with productivity modules. Alright, so let's get that in. And wait, we need a little bit more space. So that loops out there. And then eventually just goes back into there. And hopefully that all gets built up before all of the stuff spoils and breaks. Alright, there we go. So now we have this chunk out here, which is accessible bioflux. And then we need to do the same thing for the Yumiko mash. We need to find that somehow. So, how do we get the Yumiko mash out? I guess this is the problem, which makes me not want to work on Gleba. Okay, plastic. Let's see here. Coal and petroleum gas. How much coal is it? Almost... Okay, it's relatively little coal, but it is still a relevant amount. So yeah, we're just going to do this on Novice. Doing it on Gleba seems like too much work. So we've got plenty of coal here. And yeah, we've got so much coal that we're not even using it 99% of the time. So the crude oil is going to be the problem. But even that, we seem to be doing much better. So this one, can we just like add a bit more storage in here? Just so that like theoretically we can go longer in between when we need to have a train visit. So we have a whole lot of extra storage in there so that we can hopefully just load trains up almost instantly when they manage to arrive. How many storage tanks do we need per train? These are 50k, these are 25k. So if we have 4 wagons, then we need 8 storage tanks, so this should be more than enough. Alright. So let's set up an area. And let's see here. Our other recycling stuff is all over here, right? So can we just get another branch off of this easily? Not really. Yeah, let's just build it somewhere where we have plenty of space, like down here. This is actually just right next to the coal mine, so I guess we can just grab directly if we want to. Alright, so now we're in here. We need this to just branch off again. Okay, making fresh plastic. We need more space than that. We need the sort of space that we can get like down in this area. Let's move a Spidertron out there, just for speed of construction once it gets here. We won't have to wait for drones constantly. And what we need is... we need a train thing. Let's just get a... let's get a 4-way junction blueprint in. And somewhere like that. And then connect this up to here somehow so that then we can have relatively clean orthogonal setups over here. Alright, so the Spidertron is in. Now we just need this to connect in. So you connect in like that and like that. Wait, no, that's wrong. You need to go across to the other side. So you need to go into there. And then you go into there. And then across to there. Alright. So that should be all that we need. That's kind of horrible, but now we have a Spidertron to do it. And now that horribleness is gone, we have a nice standardized T-junction in here. So we can take one of these T-junctions up this way, and let's see, you go across like that, and then back into there. And you go around that way and into here. Although apparently that's not a good way of doing it. So where is? That's a good spot to put it. Okay, so now this is all in. We are going to have our Spidertron run up in close so that it can take first dibs on this and put down one of those. And this is going to be a crude oil unloader, right? So all we need are just some pumps. And we get 1, 2, 3, and 4 of those. Then we connect that across. And we give you a whole giant row of those to store all of the fluids. And so this is going to be a crude oil destination. And now we get a train in. Train. And 1, 2, 3, 4 fluid cars, which apparently we don't have. How have we gone this far without ever automating the production of fluid cars? Alright, it's fine. It's easy to do. We just paste you across. Get rid of all these stupid trees. And then set you to make fluid cars. And okay, you need to be set quests. Okay, so yeah, that is all set. You're going to be bringing in all the stuff and making our fluid cars for our new train. Very nice. Alright. And then we need to get these guys. Apparently that's too far to connect, so we need them to connect up properly. And then go up like that. And we need a refueler into here, which is apparently also just barely too far to connect up properly. And then we need a drone port as well in this area. Alright. So that is that. Our fluid cars should be produced now. What is this limited to? Just 1? How much do these store? Those stack up to 5. Let's have that limited to like 3 maybe. So we do want the ability to place a couple of those in a row, theoretically. So that is all going. And we should check in on our qualities stuff. Those are all running. This is running. We're up to 15 epic quality modules. That's great news. We are getting there. And this stuff is slowly but surely getting built. We just have one more of these that needs to get assigned in. And, oh wait, speaking of that signal there, but no, this whole thing is automatically signaled at least as far back as there, which is really where it needs to be. Alright, so now we have this bringing in our crude oil. We need to just like set up a blueprint that makes petroleum gas. And we also need water here, come to think of it. And there is no convenient local water supply. Of course there isn't. Alright, so there is some actually just up this way. Okay, let's use that. And we should probably get water into trains somewhere so that we don't have to do this. Alright, so let's bring this across there. And then all the way down to here. Alright, so that should get filled up with water, assuming that this whole area is within drone construction ability, which it seems to be. Alright, so you get assigned to the oil group. And off you go. So you can't go to a crude oil source, although now you can. So off you go. Have fun with that. So this is going to get set up. So we get that across. That goes across back to there. Then this is the 3 rows, one of which goes in directly, one of which goes across a little bit, and the other which goes across a lot. Okay, then we have a chemical plant here, which actually we need to bring the water pipe into here now. So we bring the water pipe in, then we have a chemical plant, which is going to crack heavy oil to light oil. So that goes from there to there, and the water into there. And then the light oil output combines up with this. And so that then connects forwards like so. Then we need another water pipe in, another one of you, and you are going to be light oil to petroleum gas, where you connect up like that. And then the petroleum gas goes out to here. And I don't know how the ratios are going to look on this. This is 5 heavy oil. This can certainly do all of the heavy oil. Then we're going to have a total of 24 light oil, which this can't quite manage. So let's squeeze another one of you in. And you get that back. Then this goes forwards like that. And then all of you get connected up over to this way. So this should be that. Oh, wait a minute. No, the ratio is going to be all different with productivity modules, probably. And we also want to squeeze in a beacon or two. So, let's figure that part out. Which one of you is going to need the beacon the most? I guess if we just have beacons like there, there, and there, with speed modules, then as we tile this, they should all of these should get covered by one beacon. These ones will probably be covered by 2 beacons. These ones will definitely be covered by 2 beacons each. And hopefully that's good enough with there being twice as many of these. I don't know, maybe we just swap these. Alright, so that goes in like so. You get your productivity modules. So then that connects. And then this goes across. All the settings get in. That connects under. Alright, so then we get our power poles. So how much of this can we do with a substation? If we just have a substation there and a substation there, that should be everything connected up. Alright, then as far as the ratios go, this still can handle plenty of heavy oil. And these can handle all the light oil now. Yeah, it should be fine. I don't know if the ratio is exactly perfect, but it should be close enough, probably. Maybe... Why does this now say it's producing so much less? I don't know. So let's just blueprint this as crude oil to petroleum. Make that blueprint. And, okay, it doesn't quite tile right up at the very top. But that should be fine, right? We just place a couple of those down. Expand all of these across. And then we should be in the clear. And we're short on speed modules again. So Vulcanist Support 3 seems to be functioning properly. Vulcanist Support 2 doesn't have... Okay, it just left like seconds ago. And Vulcanist Support 1 is here. How is our speed module supply going? You're up to 40 some, so we should be getting another delivery of those pretty soon. Okay, Spidertron hopefully can get these guys all filled in. And then we'll just get a drone port down to here as well. Get that connected up to a power line. Get that whole thing connected up to a power line. And now we've got a bunch of crude oil in these tanks. And this stuff is mostly getting built. Vulcanist Support 3 ran out of ammo. That... Where did that happen? Oh, and we need to finish this off, because technically it isn't... Technically we don't have this back area set up properly. So why did you run out of ammo? We are producing about as much ammo as possible. And I don't understand then how you ran out of ammo. That's incredibly mysterious. But I don't know what to do about it, so you're just gonna hopefully be fine. Alright, so this is more or less built up. We're obviously waiting on the speed modules, and the productivity modules also have to actually make it here. Okay, so then these bits connect across. All of these connect across just for convenience sake. And then, if we go up to here, this is our crude oil pipe, which we are going to run all the way down and into there. And then we also have our water pipe, which we're going to run all the way down here and then down across that into here. Oh wait, no, these are reversed apparently. So first of all, let's get all this weirdness out. So the water pipe is here, and you go there. The crude oil pipe is there and goes into there. Alright, so that should be everything, and then we should get petroleum gas down here. And hopefully we will get it in reasonable quantities as well. Okay, so then let's just take this out and then put the petroleum gas into a train so that we can deal with it later. So you get that, and then we go back this way. Then this end loops around, and this all connects up to that. Alright, now the train station goes in. The Spidertron can be standing right here for this, so that it gets dibs on this. Station goes there. Then the pumps go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not you. And that gets connected across. Our refueler goes into there. Then all of these get powered. And then that power gets brought back up to here. Alright, so this is now starting to go. So then we just need that to connect across. And let's have some storage tanks. Just like that, so that we have plenty of room. Now these guys are making a whole bunch of stuff. And how's it going? We need to connect this petroleum gas up to the final output. That's something that I forgot to do. So we need to just find some space for that, which we can just do in here. No, we can't do it in there because of this. Okay, what if we have it... I think I see a spot where it'll work. So if you go here to there, then under again, it's just barely not long enough. That's annoying. Alright, let's move the Spidertron in so that we can do this all nice and quickly. So we take that out. Then this comes down to here. Actually, that's as far as it can go. And then you connect up to there. And then this can just go back in there. Alright, so power reestablished. Hello, Rosalind. How's it going? We are playing Factorio, trying to get a plastic supply. For various reasons, we'll need this in the future. Alright, so then this pipe just goes down to there to get that water connected across. And that pipe goes down there to get that water connected across. And now we should be good to go. So this should be making our petroleum gas. And hopefully in large enough quantities once more of these speed modules show up. So we're still, what, 19 speed modules short? Alright, so that is going strong. Then this will be set as... We're going to set this as a new thing. It's just going to be petroleum gas source. Train limit of 1. And, okay, apparently we need a drone port down here for this refueler to supply the trains. And we also need our Spidertron to run down there and get that built up. And we need our Spidertron to run over here to get this little corner here built up. Having Spidertrons is so handy. You can just get things refilled properly so easily. Alright, so now we are storing a whole giant quantity of petroleum gas. And I wish I could tell how much it was. Like how much in total, because these aren't all running at 100%. So what's filling up first? So we have too much heavy oil apparently. These guys are output full. Okay. I somehow managed to just completely forget to connect the heavy oil up. So we are going to get a Spidertron in. We just need these connections to get made. And so that should get the heavy oil converted down. So now these are running. Except for this one on the end. And that should drain all of our heavy oil relatively quickly. Turn it into light oil, which then turns into petroleum gas. And this is filling up relatively quickly for how many of these that we have. So that's cool. And also considering that most of the speed modules are still missing. How is this doing? This is the one which was briefly short on ammunition, but now it seems fine. Although this side might be a little bit sketch in terms of ammo supply. It should be okay. So do any of these guys have speed modules? I don't like that they're all sort of traveling in sync like this. That's really not how I want them to be doing. But at least the speed module production seems to be going okay. Obviously, mostly resource limited, but it is working. Alright, so this provides our petroleum gas. So that is pretty nice. Now we just need to combine that up with this coal to make a whole bunch of plastic. So let's get chemical plant, make plastic, and how much of this are we going to want? And are we going to be doing this here? Yeah, I think we can do this here. So let's get the chemical plants in just like over this way into this area over here. Should leave us plenty of space. Alright, so we just have to get a row of these interlaced with beacons for speed, but productivity as well. And we just want this to be kind of giant. So we don't want to have any concerns about not enough plastic. So then we have a belt going along here, which will be provide. Oh, I should put the settings in. That would be helpful. Alright, so those are now all set to plastic. So we have a belt going along, and this is going to provide the coal. And do we need this to be even bigger? We might... Let's see, I want a lot of plastic, just like how I had a lot of the other things. So yeah, we might need to expand this out even more, although it's probably gonna stress my petroleum gas supplies. Okay, let's actually cut this and move it up to here. The reason being that this will allow this to expand over to the left indefinitely, which could be quite important. Okay, then we get our whole pipeline going across like that. I really should have finished this before copy pasting it to this great extent, but it'll be fine. So that all goes across like that. So now all the inputs are set up. We just need the outputs, which is going to be a belt like that. And it is going to be output in stack inserters so that this belt can be used as efficiently as possible. So there we go. Can we just have our Spidertron run over here? See if we can get any of this stuff in faster. Apparently the answer to that is no, we cannot. Alright, so we then need to sneak the petroleum gas up this way so they can connect in to there. Alright, so that is now all set up once this whole thing gets built. Alright, so this is mostly in. And we need to connect some of this nice tasty coal up. So let's just like take one of these random belts and just sort of bring it along over to here. And I was off by one, but that's fine. So you just go into there. And so that should be coal supplied, and we don't need that much coal for this, hopefully. I mean, in terms of the amount of resources we need, it's actually going to be a ton, but whatever. Alright, so then we start putting in substations. So you get a substation, you get a substation, you get a substation. Then this whole thing just connects across down to there. So now these are all powered. And we just need to wait for the belts to go in. So that we have the petroleum gas. And you are running completely. So yeah, we just need more speed modules in here. And the light oil supply is low, heavy oil is low. So we just need more of these guys up top, basically, I think. Although we're going to have to reassess the ratios once the speed modules get in, because that'll change things, I think. Alright, our last couple belts are starting to show up. So just a little bit more, and there we are. So now these all go across and start producing plastic. And boy, it sure would be nice if those speed modules were to be anywhere to be found. Let's see here. Back on Vulcanus, this requires tungsten carbide. Do we have tungsten carbide on Novice? We might, actually. You don't have tungsten carbide requested. You have tungsten plates and calcite. Alright, so no tungsten carbide on Novice, apparently. But we could just bring it over. So what if you just request... How much tungsten carbide? Rocket capacity can take 500, so you request a batch of 500, as do you, and as do you. Alright, so that should then be able to bring us just the tungsten carbide over to here. We're going to put in a request for, let's go, 1,000 of the stuff. And then we can get in, let's see, where do we have these, like, these guys? So grab one of you, and just paste you up here somewhere, and then change this setting to speed module 3. And so yeah, we're going to need to bring the tungsten carbide in, and we're going to want this to be set to store a couple. And then once the tungsten carbide shows up, that should help us just produce those guys here on Novice, which should be nice and convenient. Alright, so over here, we've got our plastic. So the plastic supply is good to go. Then we are going to leave some space for that to expand if necessary. And I guess we can actually build the recycling thing up here. And plastic should just recycle into itself, I think. So let's figure that out. Actually, the Spidertron here doesn't have recyclers, probably. Yeah, it doesn't. Let's give you a stack of recyclers so that you can do that. And we're just gonna have to wait for that to show up, of course. Oh, you need to be standing like next to a drone port to actually get that. Alright, in the meantime, we can actually go over to Fulgora to see, do we recycle plastic here at any point? We produce plastic here from a recycler, but then it doesn't get recycled itself. Okay, meanwhile, this whole thing is also just broken because we have too much holmium ore. So, let's get that fixed. So, can we just, like, yoink you, build another one. This one is going to request holmium ore instead of whatever it was going to request otherwise. Alright, this is the planet that I'm physically on in the Spidertron, so I can't just click a Spidertron remote to send it over. I have to actually walk down here. Alright, so then this all gets built up. Drone port gets placed. And then this needs to be set to holmium ore. It then needs to be connected up to that. And it needs to be connected into there. So we have all that. Then this needs to be set to be greater than 2200 so that we get rid of the excess. And then that is that. Alright. So back over on Novice, where I can get back to what I was doing. Does this Spidertron have the recyclers now? Yes, it does. Cool. So you run down to here and start placing your row of recyclers. So then this goes up to here and across. And we need modules in here. Let's get some of those. Actually, we can probably do the higher tier ones at this point. How many of these do we have? 20? And only 4 of the rares, actually, after using them for that. Yeah, probably. So then these just bulk insert up to there. We're not going to put power into this until we have it. So then this goes out, and unless I'm misunderstanding something, we just sort of filter out the ultras, send them up there and into a box, which of course is out of drone port range. There we go. So we filter out the ultras, put them into there, and then this just loops back and in like that with input priority right. And like this probably, does this just work? Power poles. Now we're probably going to need more of these recyclers in order to fully keep up with the supply of the various different types and everything. Yeah, so let's get let's get that copy-pasted across. And then I'll connect it up. Oh wait, actually no, stop it. We don't want those running until they have their modules. Which might be an issue. Might be a bit of an issue getting those modules to there. So yeah, now this has jammed, but that's possibly just because of this mistake that I made here. So you are all trying to go down this way, but you can't. Alright, when will those quality modules get brought down to here? We're 8 short. We're 8 short, which isn't great. It means that some of these aren't going to get them. But I guess we can upgrade some of those to rares, which will obviously just be beneficial. And that should get them all set up. So some of these guys now have their modules. And most of them are getting delivered. Not that one and that one. Alright, we just got another random recycler. There goes an artillery shell for some reason. I forgot that that was a thing that happened even. Okay, so this is going along. And is the problem that this is the other side of the belt from this, so it's all getting clogged in that way? Who knows? So here come the rares, or the ultras. So then they are going to go back somewhere, presumably drop those modules off, and then someone else is going to go and pick them up and realize what's happened. Okay, can I actually just get, like... This seems like a good idea that won't backfire catastrophically if we just get a couple of storage chests down here. Maybe that'll make them be a little bit closer. Alright. We're gonna deactivate these 3, but this one can run because it's got modules. So there we go. Now this stuff is cycling again. And we're going to get to see if it continues to go. Alright, so there... This is where we're trying to see some of the good stuff. But all of these are backlogging once more. Okay, so there go our storage chests. No idea if that'll be helpful or not. So the problem here is that... Let's see, what even is the problem here? I still don't understand how any of this sometimes jams, sometimes doesn't. And speaking of which, is this working? Yes, this is still working. Getting a significant number of both. This one is also still working. We're actually almost filled up on iron plates in our first box. So I guess we'll add the second box back in. So this whole setup here, the problem is, okay, well these guys can run again. So that's something that we can do. We can turn those guys on. And this one's, it's got 3 out of 4. That's close enough, right? So we have too much input, not enough output, basically. So what we need to do... Okay, I think I might have figured it out. What we need is Let's get the Spidertron just like literally right on top of this. We need this to swap sides on the belt. So let's take that out. So we need to jam this stuff into the left side. So this needs to be on just the opposite side of the belt that it's currently on. So if we just do something like that, now this is here, and if we then twist you around and in, so now the recycled stuff should get priority over the fresh stuff. It shouldn't bring both in simultaneously. And that seems to be all that we needed to do to get this functional. We already have our first plastic. Alright, so that is that. And this might end up getting stuck anyways. And I think we just need it to be fast enough to outpace the belt, maybe? Let's see. So the outputs here are always going to be less than the inputs, right? So this should be fine. Okay, our supply of petroleum gas... Our supply of plastic seems to not be doing so great now. We have a ton of petroleum gas in here, so that's definitely not the problem. The coal also isn't the problem. It's these dang speed modules that are the problem. So Vulcanist support is returning with a cargo of tungsten carbide, as is Vulcanist support 2. Vulcanist support 3 is doing something, probably. Seems to not have most of the things that it should be carrying over, but it'll get there eventually. And once all that tungsten carbide shows up, we'll be able to make our own speed modules here. And that'll be all good. So in the meantime, we kind of just need to copy, paste, flip you horizontally, and pop you in there. Okay, I probably should have flipped it horizontally and vertically, but this should be fine. So we just connect that up. Don't do the weird underground belt stuff. Just do that. And then just bring this pipe down under this way. Is that going to be fine? No, that's actually too close to running into some stuff. Alright, so let's also get those power poles connected across. And then we just kind of need to have you go like that. And then like that. Alright, so that should all get in. And then the petroleum gas and coal should come across. And then this whole thing should get set up. Apparently this top row needs another one of these. So they're all powered up. And so now we've actually managed to slightly decrease the amount of power being supplied. Because these two down here aren't getting their plastic across until this stuff gets built. That should get here pretty soon. So the coal roundabout is getting built in. Just a couple more belts of that. And the petroleum gas has made it across. Okay, now we just need to get this facing the right way. So now all these guys are running. And our plastic supply is double what it was. So that's cool. And hopefully we get our tungsten carbide back. And maybe even some pre-constructed speed modules with it. Any of you guys? Yes, Vulcanist Support 2 has got them. And you are actually the closest one. Alright. You are getting turbo underground belts delivered. That's why you're waiting there. Alright. So, that is all good. And now we have 9 whole plastic bars. Absolutely wonderful. This is going so well, and definitely isn't taking ages. I mean, it'll be probably better once the speed modules show up and we can actually get a reasonable amount of plastic out of this thing. And then we can also expand this out to the side even more. So let's get these in, and again we're gonna leave a bit of a gap in there so that we don't actually run this until they have their quality modules, which we're again 8 short of. So this is just going along. Vulcanist Support 2 is almost here with our speed modules. And okay, somehow we wound up with some plastic bars in there. Not sure how that happened, but it must be from when I dismantled some belt. Yeah, that's gotta be it. Alright, so this is going. Our copper is going. Slowly but surely. Doesn't seem to be any issues here. Seems to just be working. And our iron, likewise, just going along. And we have a full provider chest filled with iron plates, and we're filling up a second one, so that's pretty neat. So now our plastic is getting built in, and these extra recyclers might be necessary once these speed modules show up, because the amount of plastic supply is going to get dramatically higher once that happens. Although, okay, it looks like a train came by and took a bunch of coal, so this supply of coal got disrupted temporarily. That's funny. I guess it makes sense that that would happen every so often. This being a coal mine and everything. How much coal is here? Still like 600k. And these are almost all filled up. So it should be fine. If there is going to be a disruption, it's going to be a pretty short one. And I guess we might need to like divert more coal towards this than just like the absolute scraps that we're sending now, but it's getting there. Once the speed modules get in, it'll be potentially more of a problem. But even then, I don't know if it will be. Like this, the amount of coal that we actually use is still very low. Even with the speed modules, it'll still be pretty low. So hopefully that just stays as it is. So these, most of their modules are in, just a couple short. And there's no need to put them in yet while the ones that we have are keeping up. Okay, it looks like the speed modules are here. So that's cool. And with it should be the ability to craft more speed modules on site. So the speed module problem probably not an issue anymore. And we just need to wait for all these drones to come over here. There they go. And they're making their way down. And what are they going to module first? Looks like they're going for just completely random spots. Just absolutely no rhyme or reason whatsoever. Drones are so weird, man. Did that one only bring one module? What the heck? What'd you do that for? Alright, so now our petroleum gas production is going burr, as is our plastic production. Okay, so now I think this might indeed... Yes, we have managed to get it all jammed. That's fine. So we just put those belts in, add this extra chunk of recyclers, and then hopefully that's good enough. It seems like the basic answer is you need enough recyclers to deal with the entire output, like an entire belt's worth, and these guys are... I mean, there's a lot of plastic on these belts, potentially. So, let's get another batch. Okay, there's a tree in the way, and I cleared out of it too early. So you get disconnected, and we're going to need a billion more quality modules for this. Alright, so this whole thing gets built up. And, of course, we're not using the ones which are right here in the Spidertron. That would just be silly. You gotta import them from halfway across the planet, otherwise it's no fun. Alright, so that's making its way over. We managed to get up to 19 plastic. Managed to get up to 19 plastic before getting stuck. Alright, so this... all these guys are getting built in. And... okay, so now that's all in. We need our quality modules. Is this working at full speed? This seems like it's been faster in the past. So this whole row... so the only reason this whole row isn't running is because it's done its job fully. This whole row would be running if not for a blue circuit shortage. And then this row needs more quality modules. Alright, so what's wrong with our blue circuits? We were fine for a while, right? It's just simply not enough production. And I guess the green circuit supply is close to being an issue, but it isn't really. So yeah, we just need more blue circuit production here to get that going quickly enough. Apparently the biters are attacking again. Let's do something about that. So you get a gun, and this area is gonna get double walled and a whole bunch of extra laser turrets. There we go. So that should be all that secured. And then back over to here. We're still somehow managing to sit at exactly 20 of these. So I guess let's just keep doing those upgrades. Because upgrading these ones, in addition to just making it better, will also free up the rare modules for these ones down here. So if we do that, that should free up 20 rare modules. And then hopefully that will be that. We've got plastic bar productivity, so that's cool. let's click on processing unit productivity, because that is apparently something which we are currently short on. More processing units would certainly be quite good. And that will apparently take like 11 minutes. Okay. What if we just like, in the short term, what if we just dismantled that and then dismantled like some of this and rebuilt it? Theoretically, that should get some of these running, and if any of them at all are running, then the amount of plastic in this section should decrease. Alright, apparently we need to do more. Alright, so that is back. And now these are running again. Yeah, it's just kind of difficult to like remove large quantities of plastic from this. Especially because I don't really want to be doing this, where they're just wasted like that. Alright, what are these drones doing? They're moving some repair packs, apparently. Sure. Who knows what all that is about? We're only 16 rare modules short, so some of these guys should be receiving some rare modules. Alright, let's take out even more of this and see if it works. It should, right? We should be decreasing the amount of plastic on this belt until eventually there's actually space for all this stuff to work. Alright, now we're going. Now we are going. So all of this can cycle around a little bit more until this plastic runs out. And because we had that train problem earlier, let's get you to pass through one of these first. Wait, actually no, that's a dumb idea. That's just gonna cause all sorts of weird problems. Okay, so that, and then if we just like connect you in temporarily like this for now. So you're temporarily only going in from one side. This should be functional right now. And then once these modules show up, we can add this extra line in and then add the other side back in, hopefully. Alright. We are kind of cooking. We are cooking with plastic. So this is going. It's doing its thing. You just need a lot of these to handle like all the various different recipes that you might be wanting. And apparently we're still 17 short, which is 1, 2, that's like 4, 8, 12. So apparently some of these are showing up. I just can't tell where. Let's check our speed module production. How is this going? We've got 10 spare speed modules from here. And it's like 1 tungsten carbide per speed module. So this supply that we have here should basically last us forever. So that's cool. Processing units are still cooking. So that should get more productive until eventually we actually have a good number of them. And our quality modules over here are still just doing their thing. They're still doing their thing. Eventually, we'll get more. We could technically use these uncommon ones, but that's just not good enough to be worth using, I think. Alright, so that all goes through. I just realized that this box in particular does nothing because it just puts them right back into there. So that's a requester chest. That's fine. It doesn't hurt anything. It's just a weird, slight diversion. So this is all... This is just going as fast as it can, basically. It's weird that there are so many of these active. And the amount of stuff we're putting in is so small, but they just take a long time to run. It would be real nice to see some of these guys showing up. But apparently they are, because now we're down to only needing 14 of these. So we are getting there eventually. We have good stocks of everything except the superconductors for there. Is that just consistent? Yeah, so in all of these steps, it looks like the superconductors are the ones that we're short on. I wonder why that is. Theoretically, it should be average out to be the same, right? There's some weird mechanics at work here that I don't fully understand, but that's fine. So this is almost set up. This is almost set up. We have 30-some plastic bars. I don't know how good that is. I don't know how many of those we need for the modules. I know it's some number. I don't know if it's huge or tiny. Alright. Do we connect these guys in? They're mostly moduled. The rest of them will show up. So then we just dismantle that. Send the whole second belt through. And... okay. Apparently, the thing that got assigned to do that was not the Spidertron, which is 5 inches away. This Spidertron just doesn't have very good drone range, is the problem, really. There's like a higher tier drone port that we can unlock, I think, to help with that. I just haven't done it yet. Okay, and then do we want this to just go down to the other side so that we use both sides of the belt? That's about halfway, right? Okay, and then that can then be dismantled so that this uses both sides of the belt. And that is going. It's annoying that this one is like relatively far to the right because it's more likely to be used. But it's fine. Like, I would rather these modules be shifted over here where they get used more often. It's not a huge deal though. Most of this processing uses using good modules, so it's not that big of a deal. Alright, let's check here. These quality module 3s. Can I get into the crafting window? 210 plastic for one quality module 3, apparently. That's brutal. And that's not even counting the plastic that goes into the advanced circuits in the processing units. What is all this? Tesla guns, Tesla ammos. I have no idea what all this is. Whatever. Alright, so basically, we need an insane amount of this. We need so much. And this, like, we need even more of this. We need more than a full belt of this, I think, is what it boils down to. Like, the odds of getting the upgrades are just kind of low here. Because it's only just recyclers and like no machines with productivity upgrades or anything that we can cycle it through. So we need to like reinsert some of this plastic further on down the line so we can use this full belt in addition to all of this recycling. Okay, so if we want to do that, we need to like split you there, run you along this way, do all that. Processing unit has finished. Let's just do another one of those. And then here, you are going to be input priority right, and fed from there. And this is probably going to brick the whole setup again, because it's going to be too much input. So let's just chop that out temporarily. And also, can we just dismantle all of these stupid trees? I cannot see anything in here. There we go. That's better. So we need even more of these. Unfortunately, we do not have the quality modules to get them placed. So that's going to be an issue. Apparently, we lost a laser turret. Where's that? Okay, this area is getting attacked. So step 1, double wall you. Step 2, get a drone port in there because apparently that's necessary. Step 3, add a couple more laser turrets. And step 4, is that within artillery range? Yes, it is. Let's get some shots over there. Okay, apparently there's just nothing there. That was a false alarm. Fantastic. I'm glad I spanned like 10 artillery shells on that. That was a good use of that. Did the shells at least like detect anything at all as they passed through the area? No, I still don't know where those biters are actually attacking from then. How far out does this go? All the way out to like here? Okay, I'm seeing some stuff which looks very suspicious out over here. Let's get some shells going through there. Alright. So that was a nest, which was within my pollution cloud, which is apparently enormous. And also apparently I just have no like artillery. I have no radar out here or something, I guess. I guess that's the problem. So let's get in somewhere in here. I have like an artillery outpost. Yes, this blueprint here. Let's run you out like maybe there. Okay, I guess we have to build it within area that I have at least some vision over. So we'll just build you out a little bit forwards. Get that connected up. And that should get the drones connected up. And so you should be better suited to doing all that than just manually dealing with it. But gosh, the pollution cloud from here is insane because of all the circuits we're making in this one giant area. All right, how is our plastic recycling going? It's going. We're up to the mid-60s. So if we were able to get more of this stuff built, which I can just paste a whole nother row of it in there. And oh no, don't deconstruct the Spidertron. That is a bad misclick. Deconstruct that thing. Alright, so this can all get built up. The Spidertron can do most of the building. And of course it's assigned all of this stuff to random guys far away. And we're also still nowhere near enough quality modules to do anything with this. Alright, so this whole artillery outpost is getting built up now. Including demolishing exactly one cliff, apparently. And the drone port is in. The power poles should be coming in soon, so that this whole laser turret block can actually be defensible. Okay. The gun is now in. So basically everything except the power poles that we need. And technically this first line of walls, which isn't a huge deal. Alright, we're one power pole short of this being functional. Alright, please say that that power pole gets placed before, like, a random biter shows up and destroys this whole thing. I really wish there was a way of, like, telling the drones, hey, prioritize power poles before everything else. But, alas. Alright, there it is. Alright, so this whole thing is functional now. And the drone port gets charged up. And the radar can also go. Oh, I guess that did end up getting designated. Let's just undesignate that. I'm going to be fine with this one being here for now. Though we're probably going to have to expand forwards at some point to prevent biter swarms from doing everything that we don't want them to do. Alright, so our plastic supplies are going well. This is draining coal at a reasonably quick rate, but it's manageable. At least it's manageable right now when we don't have any of the other stuff in. Let's make sure that we get both sides of this belt, just so that we have, honestly, partially just so that we have the storage in here of the extra stuff on the belt. And then this can also be output priority right, so that we try to fill this up as much as possible, even when a train is here. Like this one, for example. So there goes all of our coal. And we need 41 rare modules in order to get this set up, and that is not happening. Okay, so this is starting to backlog. Oh, we have too many processing units in here. Well, what do we do about that? We can... Okay, we can fix this. We just need you to output your processing units to a belt using a stack inserter, filtered processing units, and these should all be tier 1s, right? Yes. So that outputs to a belt, and that belt needs to get over to really just directly downwards to there, which is where the processing units go. Does that work? Okay, apparently it does. Alright, so then you just go and plug right into that. So once that is all fixed, then we should have this up and running again. And it looks like most of this has gotten built. Just missing a couple of the underground belts. I see, that's a gap. Okay, so this isn't quite correct. That's fine. We'll just take you down over this way where there's more space. And that should work a lot more nicely. And then you can go in like that. And then this whole thing can go away. And you need to sort of wrap around to there. Yeah, the amount of space in these gaps is just kind of weird and inconsistent. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Alright, so that is all going to get put in. We just need this belt to get disassembled so that we can go across. And normally, a belt disassembly is like the fastest thing you can do. Alright, there we go. So that then goes down to here and should keep our blue circuits well supplied. At least slightly better. In the short term, it'll be great. Have all those. Okay, and then I think we want you to be a stack inserter just so that in the short term we can get all this junk off the belt. Alright, so that is going. We're basically there. Basically there. It's mostly functional at this point. We just have this sort of unfortunate backlog over here, which probably won't cause any massive issues, but will be minorly annoying. And then this is now stuck. We managed to get most of the blue circuits out, and they are still going occasionally. But now this is all backlogged and there's no room, which means we need to get this a little bit more fancy. So first we need to make sure you're on the right side of the belt, which currently you're not. So you need to be, I think, like this. And then that can come down. And actually, no, we don't need to do all that. We can just have you go up into here, give you a little bit of space. And that should work, I think. If it doesn't work, that's going to be annoying. But now we can go input priority right so that this stuff does get used. And just get the splitter, and we're good. So yes, this does work correctly. And why is there no blue circuits down this way? What happened to all of them? That's weird. That was a weird gap there. Alright, so anyways, the blue circuits here, they just go in to make these guys. So we should absolutely always be using more blue circuits from this than we put into here. So we should be all fine. And it looks like we are slowly getting caught back up. All these guys are taking their stuff off the belts. I guess this will run relatively quickly in the short term because of that, which is cool. So we have all this backlog to get through to keep the extra recyclers busy. And then we won't have blue circuit shortages for a while either. So that's great. That means that the major limiting factor right now is the amount of machines, right? Okay, where did we lose those drones? Is that up here? Okay, this is actually kind of precarious. I don't know why we have some of this as a half wall. Okay, and there's already another attack coming in. Okay. So we do have a gun up here. I don't see anything to shoot at, though. So let's pop a radar just there, so that hopefully we can find where these guys are coming from. It's probably one of these guys up there. We still aren't quite at the point where we can just keep the biters out of our pollution cloud forever. Oh, and this place is getting hit hard. Fortunately, it's got an insane amount of laser turrets. So that is all good. Where are you shooting at? You're shooting up to here. And that nest is mostly gone. So now there's just the 20 billion retaliation attacks to deal with. Yeah, this is how you gotta fight biters. Just completely invalidate their existence from a very, very long range. And we should have enough artillery to just do this all day. We've got 200 spare shells. That is plenty. I don't know how those guys got damaged before they even got here. But whatever. Okay, speaking of biters, this is all going well. Why is there 6 spoilage in there? That's weird. Okay, so this up here is our productivity module production. It is doing just fine. Got tons of those. Down here we've got our speed modules. We're up to 38 spares of those, in addition to whatever we may have brought in from Vulcanus. Alright, so how is the speed? How's the plastic going? Up to 140. That's enough for, like, what, one? There's not even enough for a single quality module 3. So this needs to be way faster. Like, this needs to be like 10 times as fast if we want to get any reasonable amount out of it. I don't know if we could do 10 times as fast, at least not with our current supply of quality modules. So I guess that is that. We're kind of just stuck waiting on our quality module production up here for all of that to happen. We're up to 11 ultras, which, yeah, we need to be upgrading this row in particular with the ultras because it's just so terrible that, like, we need every bit of help we can get. Alright, so these guys can all get designated to ultras. Some of them will get them, some of them will be waiting. But that will be that. Okay, so if that's going to be taking forever to get anywhere, but that means that we do have some freedom with our iron and copper. Where's the copper? Copper is down here. And we've got 5,000 copper wire and like 1.6 thousand copper plates. So if we have things that we can build with just those two, we can just sort of do that right now because plastic is going to be the limiting factor. So let's see, what useful things can we build? So we can do electric poles, I guess. And does that say like what the higher qualities do? It does. It says what's affected, the wire reach and supply area. It does not say like what it does. So substations are impossible because they take advanced circuits which require plastic. Inserters, we could get faster rotation speed on our inserters. That could be handy, although we can only go up to fast inserters like that, which sort of defeats the point. So as far as machines go, assembling machine 3s needs speed modules, which requires plastic, so we can't really do that. But other than that, it's kind of close. Alright, so basically the answer is we need plastic for like everything, almost. So I guess we can set up a quality power pole setup. That will be marginally convenient to have. So you get in there, and you are going to make medium electrical poles epic. Okay, so for that we're going to need steel plates, iron rods, and copper wire. So the steel plates, we're going to need, this is going to be like the world's kind of just saddest setup ever. So steel plates go here, and you are going to get iron plates assigned to you. Quality for iron plates, and then you can just go like that, and then yeah, I guess this whole thing does need to be powered, so we'll do that. So then we need the iron rods, so those are okay, the iron sticks. Close enough. So those can just go off of this and into here. Okay, and this needs to be ultra, or epic, or whatever they're called. Epic iron sticks, which go out here and across like that. You need to be a long-handled inserter. And then you need to take from a long-handled inserter. So you have your steel plates, check. You have your iron sticks, check. Now you just need the copper wire, epic quality, delivered directly in. And then you can make some of these guys. Okay, we need a power pole out there. And so this has everything but the iron sticks. And also this is very slow. Okay, wait, we should also productivity module those two, because we are using epic quality ingredients, and we can productivity module them, so we will. Alright, so now we've got two of these. Wire reach 15, supply area 13 by 13. That is pretty cool. And how much does this take? Okay, we need more steel furnaces, I guess. So let's just get another couple of those. And run you along. Go into there and into there. And then those go across. And then output. Get productivity moduled. And hopefully that'll be good enough. So that should be 0.13 there. Okay, well the numbers here are kind of irrelevant. It's the ratios that matters. It's half as much steel plates as it is iron sticks. So this can produce like a bunch of iron sticks. Alright, so steel plates are always just going to be the problem here. There's nothing we can do about that. But now that this is 3 times as fast, that should be a lot better. And we're gonna need less of these electrical poles than the previous versions because they're so much bigger. So that's cool. So this is a 13 by 13 area. Now a substation which we've been using is 18 by 18. So this is like almost as big as a substation, except it's a 1 by 1 build. So that's convenient. That's very convenient indeed. Can we get... No, all these things require... they all require plastic in the form of red circuits, which means that this must be upgraded. And that's just going along. These guys are mostly output full. We are up to 190 plastic bars, which again, that is like not even a single quality module apparently. You can make it better with productivity, but it's still kind of rough. Still pretty awful. So we are... Let's see, these are all in, which means we should be able to get that connected up. And we need to get the Spidertron over here to do that. So now we have all this extra space. We should be able to make better use of all these recyclers and of our plastic supply. But apparently we're not quite there yet. If I just paste you again, is it still in the hotbar? Yes, it is. So we're going to paste you, disconnect that, and actually it looks like it might be doing fine. It's at least almost stable. We probably just want like a couple more. So I guess we're building this, and that's going to be another 20. So once this gets filled in, then we should be able to keep this up permanently. In the short term, we are going to disconnect this again to keep the amount of plastic under control. Gosh, I cannot wait until we can get this in properly and actually get like decent mass quantities done. Okay, now we're 23 rare short. I could have sworn we were only 20 rare short just a minute ago. Maybe I'm forgetting. Alright, so these are doing their thing. Nothing to see over here, except maybe we can add like 1 or 2 more of these guys. And then over here, this is also just going along. And now we have... I mean, this is still just like barely keeping up. It's still just barely keeping up, which is a little bit worrying. And we also need to like prioritize the superconductors from here into this so that that doesn't overfill. Same with advanced circuits. So yeah, we've got more work to do here, but it is going. And this gigantic plastic abomination is also getting done slowly but surely. We just need way more of these to go across. And hopefully that will make progress. But it is about the time where we wrap up the stream, so I think I'm going to call it here. Thanks everyone for hanging out. We've had a lot of fun here. So I will be streaming again on Monday, where we're back in Factorio. And our goal on Monday is to finish this off and then start working on getting the holmium ore, or not holmium ore, but holmium plates. So we need to get some of this stuff back to novice and or recycled here. So we need to cycle up the holmium plates, because then once we have those, we can make our superconductors. Where are those? So we can make our superconductors at ultra quality. And then once we have ultra quality superconductors, then we'll have everything we need to go through and start making ultra quality modules from ingredients as opposed to cycling them directly. And once we do that, then we're just going to have to figure out some other stuff in order to get ultra quality of other things. Like I think we need like biter eggs to get productivity modules, but we'll already have all the plastic and iron and copper set up, so that should be a lot easier. But yeah, that's about it. So thanks ever for hanging out. I will see you guys next time. Make sure to follow if you haven't already. And that's about it. Bye.